Well, that's the thing that didn't put a dollar amount to it. It's not going to be cheap, but it's probably going to be at least $25,000. So it could range. It depends how deep and we go. When we went up to that meeting, we did hear that they were doing these forensic audits for where they felt there was fraud, and when there was people that thought that there was some corruption taking place. So that's not the case here, you know. So they spent like $1 million on that, or up to $1 million.
No,
So we want to
was
make
the
sure.
starting.
Excuse me.
$1 million was the starting.
So you know, I just think of that being so, and actually it took a very long period of time. So let me start conceptually. Do you like the idea as we come to a close of 2006 bond?
Almost.
Okay.
What do you call it in that? You call this
You can call it whatever you want to call it. I call it analysis.
Analysis. What do you mean by analysis?
Well, we are going to describe what the analysis is going to be by describing what we want to look at. So at the CBOC, we want to say, what are we, as members of the community, want to say that we feel confident and secure that the 2006 funds were used properly for projects that we asked the voters to pass for us for the funds. So let me try to give you a little conceptual idea, and then we can have some discussion with it. I think first and foremost is just the big picture. The big picture is all the projects that we did in 2006, every penny that we spent on 2006 dealing with a project, should we verify to make sure that that was what we told the voters we would do? To make sure that every project, every penny that we spent on 2006 funds was actually something we told the voters that we were going to do. Would that be a good starting point from there?
Oh, of course, because that's the whole point.
Okay.
Maybe verify each time, each one.
What I was saying is if we, no, it's not impossible, because if we spent money on a project
Right.
in 2006, then we should list that project. That project goes back to what we told the voters we were going to do, and then we confirm it. We confirm that this project was what the 2006, bond we said we were going to do. Now that's the starting point, and that's kind of the easy one. But then number two is, when an auditor does the audit, they look at a handful of bills that have gone through it to make sure that they were proper expenses and everything was done correctly. I think it's important that we single out a project or two, and every dollar, every penny, every cent that was spent on that project, we analyze it. We have them analyze it to make sure that it was used properly, and it was used as it was used for that project, and it was a 2006 bond. So I'll give you an example. You hear Nogales at times. How much did you spend? How much did you spend Nogales? So we know Nogales had a several amount of change orders. So I would recommend that Nogales is one that we look into with a deep dive to say, let's every dollar or every penny that was spent in Nogales, let's look at it. Let's look at every transaction. Let's look at every purchase order. Let's look at everything that we did with that to verify how much was spent on that project, and that it was done correctly.
I've been audited myself several times. So usually, when I'm being audited, someone's actually looking at every little physical thing that I put in, down to one piece of technology that's this big, G-Big or something like that. Are you talking about diving into it that deep? Where we're going to be looking at patch scores or you know what I'm saying? Hey, we're going to see the plans etched out that we're supposed to have 5 outlets per classroom, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're going to have to start to take a look at the scope first, right?
Well, you would have to look at the plans of what we were going to do with it and what was spent for it. So you have
The
to.
bidding process, and who did what. Then we're gonna, at the end, we should be seeing what the over and under is, and then justifications for all that, right?
Yes, now, the deeper we look, the more hours we spend,
More money.
the more money it's gonna cost. So those are the type of options that I need to really work with the auditor firm to say, what is going to be reasonable, that we're gonna feel secure with it? And I'm hearing from you, I believe, that you're saying, you know what, I don't wanna check every cover plate because that's getting too into the weeds, but let's get into the main scope of the work and make sure that all the money that was spent for that scope of the work was done. If we said we're gonna put 22 classrooms, this is for you guys for the future, let's make sure we don't have 21. You know, so let's make sure the 22 classrooms are there. Now, if they have 4 outlets, or we can count 4 outlets, I mean, I see what you're saying, is like, how deep do you wanna go? And I think that's something for us to discuss, and then for us to make a recommendation to the Board of Education. And you know, cost could be prohibitive, and I appreciate that everyone's thinking that too, because we'd rather put the dollar into construction for the students here than to maybe look and count plugs.
That's all in relation to 2006 Measure R. Here's a copy, it's 2 pages long. It's in your binders.
I think we do need, since a lot of residents voice out, right? Question here, question there. I think we do need to do analysis, but you know, the analysis a different way, like audit, a lot of ways to do. Of course, you can make a structure, you know, but it has to make sense. For example, you know, you remodel this room, right? If you spend like, for example, $5 is normal, but if you spend $50, we must be question there. So first we have to order project, and then like standard, if something is very questionable, or spend is above normal, we have to go deeper, find what's problem. I don't know what's outside some rumor, where they come from. So if people, for like Nogales, I heard some rumor too, but Nogales, they have something like underground, something is unprotectable. So that one is reasonable. So I think, you know, we should do some reasonable analysis. Don't spend too much money. I prefer use money for the construction for the kids.
Okay. So what about if you give me some direction in saying that we do agree first, and these are going to be in the minutes, we're taking notes, Roseanne's taking notes right for this, for the scope, is we do agree that, first of all, making sure that everything that that $1 was spent on 2006 project, we look at that list, and we look at the list that we said we're going to do for the big picture. We all agree with that, and that's not the deep. Second one, but what do you feel about at least going with a few projects and going what the scope of the work was, and making sure that scope of the work was, and then seeing every dollar that was spent on that project, and making sure that it went to that project.
Yes.
Because if we said we were going to put air conditioning in, we need to say that, air conditioning in the gym. Okay, I just say that because that's a popular thing, everyone wants to do that. But instead we put air conditioning in the cafeteria, the NPR room, and we use bond funds. We said we were going to use it for the gym. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's not looking at switches, it's looking at about we're going to put $2 million on a certain item in a certain place. Did we do it, or did we put it somewhere else? Okay? So, and then actually analyze every change order and give a description for the change order too. Because that one, I think, had 13 or 14 change orders.
14. So
So we can say, you know, again, you know, this change order was for this reason, this is why it wasn't. You know, it was unforeseen, or if it was poor plans, and maybe a percentage of that too.
Well, RFCs, I can understand, not only that, you have the district PM working on that, correct? He's the one that makes the decisions, project manager?
We
Or you guys
removed
do
the,
that
we
as a whole?
felt that we were spending too much money on a program manager, and we released a program manager. So we have, because we were at the point that we were transitioning with projects, and we had very good construction managers.
So you guys cross-reference everybody that was, you know, when they come on the site, all the, I mean.
That's the
does
construction
the paper-
manager.
Okay, your construction manager.
Yes.
You took care of all that?
Yeah, we had before, we had a program manager, construction manager, we also had district. So we removed one layer of the program manager because we had really good faith in the program, and the construction managers that we have. That they are doing that, and they're making sure that the work is being done correctly to a plan too. And then we have the IORs also that are making sure that everything's done to plan
Oh,
also.
yeah.
I also.
The IOR is the inspector of records, so.
I also suggest probably we can hold like a community meeting, for all the residents local here, and tell them what we done in 2016. We want to hear from them.
It's called our annual report of the BOE.
So I think
I
this
know, I know,
thing,
but that's for us, but we
Yeah.
want to go to the public. You tell them, hey, we will have like a free, like a dialogue with you. I want you,
I think the dialogue is I don't understand, because
We
right
just
now,
wanna get the
what we're
feedback.
trying to do is trying to look at the 2006 that's already done.
It's our
I
responsibility.
totally agree that we should maybe, we should make the analysis available for the public. So the public wants to see the analysis, that we should post it on our website. That's something we could do for sure. And then we could actually tell the public to say, the 2006 is complete. If you want to see what happened, what transpired, the analysis is done and it's reported and it's on the website. But
I think
to have a public meeting to say,
before we conclude the analysis, I want to get some feedback from them. I don't want to spend some money after we give the analysis report and they're not satisfied, say, hey, you know what, the report is not what we want. We want to.
but the report is, you as a CBOC,
You're supposed to answer
you
their
are
questions when they come to you.
working for, the board, you're appointed by the board,
Yeah,
but what you're doing is,
Working for the public.
you're working for the public,
Public.
representing to do that. So that's why I'm asking you, because you're the one who's representing the public. Let's see
so
which
we
one.
have to have some meeting with the public, right?
So let me ask
We
the
have to
question,
hear
so
from
what
them.
type of question would you want to ask the public? Because
You
what I'm
can-
asking,
You can if you like, but we, as a group, we don't have to postpone doing this audit for one, to wait for all of this.
No, we don't need to wait, but since,
That's our job,
Mhm.
is to make sure that the money is being spent per the
Language of the bond.
measure. That's our job,
yeah,
okay?
If somebody from the public comes to you with a question, it's your responsibility to ask it here.
I know, but okay,
And because there has been, because the committee has not been a very good one for 10 years, and I had concerns about that. Mr. Flores agreed to, and because he had some concerns about management changes and, all the things that he's talked about with these, the excess, or what was deemed to be excess change orders, to do this extra analysis. So,
that's
I mean,
why,
it's fine to ask people in the public, but
That's why-
we're having a public meeting right now
I know.
about this.
I know, but-
Okay, and they're invited to come.
So I guess I'd be doing what you want to do, because I'm trying to get your input, you want to get the input from.
yeah, because we represent them, right? No, we just want to, we are available, let them assess us. That's why my point.
Basically saying there's a disconnect between us and the public.
Yeah, we don't know
Well,
what they're thinking. What we
there
what we
is,
say,
because
they're not
they
represent
don't-
what they're thinking.
They don't come to the meetings, and they don't.
I mean, obviously, this
They don't look at the
meeting was
website, and
announced,
there is a disconnect.
and they were invited to come. Obviously, no one's here. So you, as a community member here, you gotta do what's best for the public,
So we have
and
to
make
reach
sure the measure,
You haven't been?
whatever.
We have
they
to reach
spend.
So,
Uh-huh.
I don't want to,
I have a request
sure.
of what I'd like to see.
Okay, so Roseanne's gonna write it down.
As a public, I'm not as concerned that some of the money got spent for laptops and, or light fixtures, and that wasn't on the list. My concern is to see that all of the money is accounted for. Starting with, was there any monies from the 2000 bond that was left over and put into the 2006? All of the interest that was accrued, all matching funds, any money going out of the 2006, which that seems that there was, into the 2012, and then back into the 2006. So it got very confusing. So I'd like an accountability.
So let me try to recap that for you.
Yeah.
What you would like to see is on the 2006, any revenue that came in from interest for every year.
All revenue.
Well, the revenue, the only revenue you would get would be from interest. You would like to see any co-funded projects that were 2006 and a state, like for example, I believe there was, not too sure if the Northern Medical Clinic parking lot, there was a auto, Nogales Auto Shop, I believe, was a co-funded
Yeah, those were CTE grants.
CTE grant in 2006. So to kind of like pinpoint it, you would like a list of all the projects that were co-funded. You would like to see all of the income that was generated from 2006 with any interest. And you'd like to see any transfer, if there was any transfers, between funds. And usually what you do is you don't transfer funds, you have to transfer expenses. So we
And
usually don't-
refinancing of bonds?
we can actually, we can highlight,
I
if
wanna
there was,
account-
if the
I wanna
bond was,
account for all of them.
if the bond was refinanced, we can indicate that too, and I believe the last time the bond was refinanced was October of 15, and there was, I believe, 21 or $39 million refinance, saving the taxpayers around $10 million. And that was just this recently with the board, it just approved.
Also, computers can be bought with bond funds. If you're building a space and it's brand new and you need material to fill, desk, computers, stuff like that. So you gotta, depending on what the situation is or what that particular project is and what's been approved or not, that's how you know if those funds will be able to be used.
We usually earmark about 2% of the construction costs for equipment. It's called F&E money, for furniture and equipment. Like, this is a beautiful classroom that was modernized.
Yeah.
But this is considered furniture, that's considered equipment. That Epson screen. So remember, we're building this for our kids to learn. It's a learning environment. So that's why, we can have a great building, but if we don't have the right products for our kids to learn it and prepare for the 21st century, then we're missing it too. So I got that also. What about if there's, because I've actually, somehow or another, the word always gets out. And I've spoken to a couple of community members also, and they've shared some ideas too, about possibly looking at any bond sale, or any resolution for bond sale, to take a look at that also, to see if there's anything where the money was at. But I want to just really say that this is something we want to do, or we want to recommend, not because we think there's a problem, not because we think that there's an issue. We want to do that just to reassure our taxpayers that they can invest in us, because we're going to invest back into the community, and we're going to do things correctly. And by chance, if there was